The stars shimmered and twisted as something massive tore through space near the edge of human territory. The distortion grew larger and larger until finally, with a flash of brilliant light, an enormous alien ship appeared. The vessel was bigger than anything humans had ever built. Its dark metal hull stretched for miles, covered in strange glowing symbols and weapon ports that looked like hungry mouths. On the bridge of this massive ship, Commander Velthur stood with his 4 arms crossed. Behind his back, his species, the Kethver, had conquered 17 different star systems. They were masters of war, and every race they met either surrendered quickly or died slowly. Velthur's yellow eyes glowed as he studied the readings on his screens. These humans lived on a small blue planet and had spread to only a few nearby worlds. They would be easy prey. "Send the standard message," Velthur ordered his communications officer. His voice was deep and harsh, like grinding metal. "Tell these creatures they have one choice: surrender now or watch their worlds burn." The message went out across all human frequencies. It was simple and direct. The humans had exactly 1 day to give up everything they had built or face complete destruction. Velthur had sent this same message to 16 other species. Most surrendered immediately when they saw the size of his fleet. The few that tried to fight lasted less than an hour. Far away, on the human battleship Liberty, Captain Jake Morrison was having his morning coffee when the alien message came through. He was a man in his 40s with gray streaks in his brown hair and calm blue eyes that had seen plenty of trouble. The coffee cup froze halfway to his lips as he listened to the cold, alien voice. "Captain," said Lieutenant Amy Carter from her position at the tactical station. She was young, maybe 28, with short red hair and sharp green eyes that missed nothing. "I'm reading massive energy signatures at the edge of the system. Whatever that thing is, it's huge." Morrison set down his coffee and walked to the center of the bridge. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. These were good people, trained for war, but hoping they would never need to use that training. "Lisa, can you get me a visual on that ship?" Morrison asked. Lieutenant Lisa Grant worked at the communications console. She had blonde hair pulled back in a tight bun and wore thick glasses that made her look more like a librarian than a soldier. Her fingers flew over the controls as she tried to get a clear picture of the alien vessel. "Got it, sir," she said. The main screen flickered and then showed the massive alien ship floating in space like a metal mountain. The bridge went quiet as everyone stared at it. "How many people do you think are on that thing?" whispered Lieutenant Ben Phillips. He was the weapons officer, a big man with black hair and hands that looked more suited to farm work than operating. "LASER cannons." "Too many," said Commander Roy Sullivan from the engineering station. He was older than the others, maybe 50, with gray hair and oil stains on his uniform from working in the engine room. "Captain, our weapons won't even scratch something that size." Morrison studied the alien ship on the screen. It was certainly impressive, but he had learned not to judge an enemy by size alone. Sometimes the biggest targets were also the easiest to hit. "They're moving," Amy reported. Heading for the mining station at Series 7, Morrison felt his stomach tighten. Series 7 had 3,000 people working and living there, families, children. If the aliens attacked there first, it would be a massacre. "Sir," Lisa said, her voice shaking slightly, "I'm getting reports from Series 7. The alien ship is powering up weapons." On the screen, they could see bright lights building up along the alien ship's hull. The weapons looked like nothing humans had ever seen before, crackling with purple energy that hurt to look at directly. "They're not even giving us time to respond to their message," Morrison said quietly. "They're going to attack innocent people just to make a point." The first blast from the alien ship hit Series 7's defensive shields. The purple energy tore through the protection like it was made of paper. The second blast hit the station itself, and explosions bloomed across its surface like deadly flowers. "Escape pods launching from Series 7, Amy reported. "They're trying to evacuate." Morrison watched as dozens of small ships fled from the burning station. Most would make it to safety, but some would not. The alien ship continued firing, destroying everything it could reach with casual cruelty. "Captain," Roy said from his station, "I know what you're thinking, but we can't fight that thing. It's 50 times our size." Morrison looked around at his crew. These people had trained with him for 3 years. They trusted him to make the right choices, even when those choices seemed impossible. "Lisa, send a message to Earth Command," he said. "Tell them we have first contact with a hostile alien force. Tell them the situation at Series 7. "Yes, sir." Lisa replied, her fingers already working. Morrison turned back to the screen where the alien ship continued its destruction. He thought about the families fleeing in those escape pods, about the children who would grow up knowing that monsters from space had destroyed their homes. "Amy, can you scan that ship for weak points?" he asked. Amy's fingers danced over her controls. After a moment, she looked up with surprise. "Sir, their ship is massive, but it's not well protected. The shields are strong, but they're designed to stop big weapons, not small, precise ones." Morrison felt something like hope stirring in his chest. "What else? They're not very fast either." Amy continued. "That ship is built for intimidation, not fighting." "Roy," Morrison called to his engineer, "how are our systems?" Roy checked his readings. "All green, Captain. The new engines are running perfectly, and our weapons are fully charged." Morrison made his decision. It might be the wrong one, but he could not stand by and watch innocent people die while he did nothing. "Battle stations," he ordered. "We're going to show these aliens that humans don't scare easily." The bridge lights dimmed to combat red as his crew prepared for war. The Liberty moved through space like a ghost. Captain Morrison had ordered all non-essential systems shut down to avoid detection. The ship drifted silently toward the alien fleet, hidden by advanced stealth technology that the enemy had never seen before. On the bridge, the crew worked in whispers. Amy Carter studied her tactical screens, watching the alien ships through long-range sensors. The enemy fleet had spread out around the burning remains of Series 7, confident that no human ship would dare challenge them. 17 ships total, Amy reported quietly. The big one in the center is their command vessel. The others are arranged in a defensive circle around it. Morrison nodded as he studied the enemy formation. The aliens had positioned themselves like they expected an attack from far away. They had no idea that a human ship was already close enough to strike. "They fight like bullies," Morrison said softly. "Big ships, lots of noise, but no real strategy." Roy Sullivan checked his engineering displays one more time. The Liberty's experimental quantum drive system was running perfectly. It was technology that even Earth's best scientists did not fully understand, but it gave the ship abilities that no enemy would expect. "Captain," Roy whispered, "the new drive is ready. We can move in ways that will break their targeting computers." Ben Phillips flexed his fingers over the weapons controls. The Liberty's guns were smaller than the alien weapons, but they were far more accurate. While the aliens relied on massive energy blasts to overwhelm their enemies, human weapons were designed for precision. "Their ships are huge," Ben said quietly, "but that makes them easy targets. I can hit specific systems instead of just blasting away randomly." Lisa Grant monitored alien communications from her station. The enemy was talking freely, never thinking that humans might be listening to their conversations. "Sir," Lisa whispered, "they're not even keeping radio silence. They think we're too primitive to understand their language, but the computer is translating everything." Morrison smiled grimly. The aliens were making every mistake possible. They underestimated human technology, human tactics, and human determination. That would be their downfall. What are they saying? Morrison asked. Lisa listened to her headphones for a moment. The commander is bragging to his officers about how easy this conquest will be. He says humans are just another weak species that will surrender after seeing their power. Roy, bring us to full combat power, Morrison ordered. Amy, target their command ship's weapon systems. Ben, prepare for rapid fire sequence. Lisa, jam their communications on my mark. The Liberties. Systems came online with a soft hum. The ship's hull shimmered as the stealth field dropped away, revealing the human battleship to alien sensors for the first time. On the alien command ship, alarms began screaming. Commander Velther rushed to his command console, his yellow eyes wide with shock. A human ship had appeared in the middle of his fleet without any warning. How did they get so close? Velther demanded. Our sensors should have detected them from light years away. His tactical officer, a younger Kethver with nervous movements, checked his displays frantically. Sir, their ship does not appear on our long-range sensors even now. They have some kind of invisibility technology. Velther felt the first touch of fear. The Kethver had conquered many worlds, but they had never faced an enemy that could hide from their sensors. This changed everything. All ships, open fire on the human vessel, Velther ordered. Destroy them immediately. But the Liberty was already moving. Roy engaged the quantum drive, and the ship began to dance through space in ways that seemed impossible. It slipped between alien vessels like water flowing around rocks, avoiding their massive plasma cannons with graceful ease. The alien weapons were designed to destroy large, slow targets. They could crack planets and vaporize space stations, but they could not hit a small, fast ship that moved in unpredictable patterns. Amy watched her tactical display as alien shots missed the Liberty by hundreds of meters. Their targeting systems can't keep up with our movement, she reported. They're firing where we were, not where we are. Morrison felt the ship twist and turn beneath his feet as Roy pushed the quantum drive to its limits. The Liberty spun through 3 dimensions like a fighter plane, but it was still a battleship with serious weapons. Ben, begin attack pattern Alpha, Morrison ordered. Phillips opened fire with the Liberty's railguns. The magnetic weapons launched metal projectiles at incredible speed, striking the alien command ship's weapon ports with surgical accuracy. Each shot was calculated to cause maximum damage to critical systems. The first alien weapon turret exploded in a shower of sparks and metal, then the second, then the third. Ben was methodically destroying the command ship's ability to fight. Back, one gun at a time, Velther watched in horror as his ship's weapons were torn apart by precise human fire. The enemy was not trying to destroy his ship completely. They were deliberately crippling it, taking away its teeth while leaving it alive. Return fire. Velther screamed at his weapons officers. Hit them with everything. But the remaining weapons could not track the Liberty's impossible movements. The human ship seemed to know where each shot would go before the aliens fired, dancing away from danger with elegant precision. 2 more alien ships tried to help their commander by flanking the Liberty from both sides. Morrison saw them coming and smiled coldly. Roy, emergency jump. Put us directly above the command ship. The Liberty vanished from between the 2 alien ships and reappeared directly over Velthera's vessel. The flanking ships, already committed to their attack, fired their massive plasma cannons at the space where the Liberty had been. Instead, they hit each other. Both alien ships staggered under the impact of friendly fire, their shields collapsing and hulls cracking. They had been so focused on destroying the human ship that they had destroyed themselves instead. Ben fired down into the command ship's bridge section, his shots tearing through armor plating like it was made of cardboard. Sparks and atmosphere vented into space. As the alien vessel's control systems failed one by one, Velther fell to his knees as his ship died around him. In less than 10 minutes, the humans had crippled his flagship and caused 2 more ships to destroy each other. This was not how war was supposed to work. The Kethver had always won through superior firepower and intimidation, but these humans fought differently. They used speed instead of strength, precision instead of power, and intelligence. Instead of brute force, they were everything the Kethver were not, and that made them terrifyingly effective. Morrison watched as more alien ships tried to converge on the Liberty's position, but it was too late. The human ship was already gone, jumping to a new position, where it could strike again. The real battle was just beginning. Commander Valthur's hands shook as he sent an emergency message to the main Kethver fleet. His flagship was badly damaged. 2 of his ships had accidentally destroyed each other, and the small human vessel continued to dance around his remaining forces like a deadly predator. Supreme Command, Valthur spoke into his communicator. I need immediate reinforcements. The humans are not what we expected. They have technology and tactics we have never encountered before. The response came back quickly, filled with anger and disbelief. Impossible. One small human ship cannot defeat an entire Kethver battle group. Complete your mission or face execution for cowardice. Valthur closed his eyes. His superiors thought he was lying or had lost his nerve. They could not understand what was happening here, because it had never happened before in the history of their empire. On the Liberty, Lisa Grant monitored the alien communications. She turned to Captain Morrison with excitement in her green eyes. Sir, they're calling for help. A much larger fleet is heading this way, but it will take them 6 hours to arrive. Morrison nodded calmly. 6 hours was plenty of time to finish what they had started. But first, he needed to make sure his ship could handle whatever was coming. Roy, I need everything you can give me, Morrison said to his chief engineer. Reroute power from life support, artificial gravity, even the coffee makers if you have to. Roy's fingers flew over his controls. Aye, Captain. Redirecting power from all non-essential systems to weapons and shields. The Liberty transformed before their eyes. Lights dimmed throughout the ship as power flowed to the weapon systems. The artificial gravity reduced to half strength, making everyone feel lighter. Even the air recycling slowed down to save energy. Ben, what's our weapon status now? Morrison asked. Phillips checked his displays and grinned. We're running at 150% of normal capacity, sir. Our railguns can fire twice as fast, and our particle beams have 30% more power. Morrison smiled. The Liberty had become a pure war machine. Every system focused on one goal, destroying the enemy. Amy studied her tactical screens as the remaining alien ships tried to regroup. Captain, they're changing formation. The damaged command ship is moving to the back, and the others are forming a defensive wall in front of it. They're learning, Morrison said with approval. Good. That means they're taking us seriously now. But Morrison had no intention of attacking that defensive wall directly. Instead, he had a different plan, one that would use the aliens' own destroyed ships against them. Roy, take us into that debris field, Morrison ordered, pointing at the wreckage of the 2 alien ships that had destroyed each other earlier. The Liberty moved carefully through the floating metal remains. Pieces of alien hull plating drifted past the windows like strange metallic snow. Some chunks were as big as buildings, while others were small enough to hold in your hand. What are we doing here, sir? Amy asked. Morrison pointed at a particularly large piece of wreckage. That piece of hull armor is about the size of a car. Ben, can you lock our magnetic grappler onto it? Phillips worked his controls. Got it, sir. Magnetic clamp is secure. Now launch it at that alien cruiser using full magnetic acceleration. The Liberty's magnetic launcher fired, hurling the piece of wreckage at incredible speed toward an enemy ship. The alien saw it coming but did not bother to dodge. After all, it was just a piece of floating metal. The impact was devastating. The wreckage hit the alien cruiser's hull with the force of a meteor. Armor plating cracked and atmosphere vented into space as the ship staggered under the blow. Again, Morrison ordered. Use everything floating out here. The Liberty began firing debris like a cosmic slingshot. Pieces of destroyed alien ships became weapons against their former comrades. The enemy had never faced anything like this before. Their own dead were being turned into ammunition. Amy watched the tactical display with amazement. Sir, you're using their wrecked ships as projectiles. They have no defense against that. Sometimes the best weapon is whatever you can find lying around, Morrison replied. Velther watched in growing horror as another of his ships was battered by flying debris. The humans were not fighting like any civilized species. They were improvising, adapting, using everything around them as a weapon. Target their ship with all remaining weapons, Velther ordered desperately. Concentrate fire. The alien ships tried to focus their attacks on the Liberty, but Morrison was ready for that too. He had Amy identify the alien communication relays and command ships. Ben, target their communication arrays first. Cut off their ability to coordinate. Phillips fired precisely at the alien communication equipment. His shots destroyed the relay, dishes and transmission equipment that allowed the enemy ships to work together as a fleet. Suddenly, the alien ships could not talk to each other properly. Without clear communication, their coordinated attacks became sloppy and confused. Some ships fired at empty space where they thought the Liberty should be. Others held their fire, afraid of hitting their own allies. Now target their command ship bridge sections, Morrison ordered. More precise shots rang out from the Liberty's guns. The alien commanders found their bridge windows shattered and their control systems sparking. Leadership began to break down as officers were injured or killed. Lisa monitored the increasing chaos in alien communications. Sir, they're starting to panic. Their formation is falling apart. Morrison could see it on the tactical display. The alien ships were drifting away from each other, no longer working as a team. Fear was replacing discipline in their ranks. Roy called out from his engineering station. Captain, I'm detecting a weakness in their shield systems. The shields are designed to stop energy weapons, but they're not very good against solid objects moving at high speed. You mean like our railgun projectiles? Ben asked with excitement. Exactly, Roy confirmed. Their shields will stop our particle beams all day long, but our metal slugs go right through. Morrison felt victory within his grasp. Ben, switch to full kinetic attack. Hit them with everything solid we have. The Liberty's railguns fired in rapid sequence, sending streams of metal projectiles at the alien ships. The enemy shields, so effective against energy weapons, offered little protection against high-speed metal. Alien hulls began to rupture under the impact of dozens of projectiles. Ships that had seemed invincible minutes ago were now leaking air and losing power as human weapons tore through their defenses. Velthar stood on his damaged bridge and finally understood the truth. His species had built their entire military around the idea that bigger was better. Massive ships, enormous weapons, overwhelming force. But these humans fought with their minds instead of just their muscles. They used speed instead of size, precision instead of power, and creativity instead of brute strength. Every advantage the Kethver thought they had was being turned against them by an enemy that refused to fight by the expected rules. As another of his ships exploded under human fire, Velther realized that his empire had made a terrible mistake. They had attacked a species that was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The humans were not just defending themselves. They were winning. Space twisted and rippled as the Kethver reinforcement fleet arrived. 12 massive ships emerged from hyperspace, led by the largest vessel anyone had ever seen. The new flagship was 5 times bigger than Commander Velthar's damaged ship, and bristled with enough weapons to destroy entire planets. On the bridge of this monster ship, Supreme Admiral Kol Zeth studied the battle reports with growing anger. His 4 arms moved rapidly over the control displays as he tried to understand how one small human vessel had destroyed half of Velthave's fleet. "This is impossible," Kolzeth growled in his deep voice. "No single ship can defeat an entire Kethver. Battle group, Velther must be lying to cover his own failure." His tactical officer, a scarred veteran of many campaigns, shook his head nervously. "Sir, I have confirmed sensor readings. The human ship is real, and it has capabilities we have never encountered." Kolzeth's yellow eyes glowed with fury. "Then, we will crush this upstart species once and for all. Prepare the planet killer weapon. If one human ship thinks it can challenge the Kethver Empire, we will show them the price of defiance." The massive alien flagship began powering up its main weapon, a cannon capable of cracking worlds in half. Energy readings climbed higher and higher as the weapon prepared to fire. On the Liberty, alarms began screaming as Amy detected the energy build up. Her face went pale as she read the weapon specifications. "Captain," Amy said with fear in her voice, "that thing has enough power to destroy a planet, if they fire it at Earth ... Morrison felt ice in his stomach. His ship had been successful against normal warships, but this was something else entirely. A weapon that could kill worlds was beyond anything they had faced. "Roy, can we outrun that blast?" Morrison asked. His chief engineer checked the readings and shook his head. "No, sir. That weapon has a blast radius of millions of kilometers. Even at maximum speed, we could not get far enough away in time." Morrison realized they were facing a moment of truth. Running was not an option, and fighting seemed impossible. But surrender would mean the death of billions of innocent people on Earth and the human colonies. "Lisa, any word from the alien fleet?" Morrison asked. Grant listened to her communications equipment. "Sir, they are not even trying to talk to US anymore. They plan to fire their planet killer weapon in 10 minutes. Morrison made the hardest decision of his life. "All stop. Shut down all systems except life support." His crew stared at him in shock. Ben Phillips was the first to speak. "Captain, if we shut down, we will be sitting ducks." "No," Morrison said quietly. "We will be invisible." Roy understood first. "You want us to play dead? Drift with the wreckage? And hope they think we were destroyed?" Morrison nodded. "It is our only chance. If they think we are gone, they might not fire the planet killer. They came here to fight us, not to destroy empty space." The Liberty went completely dark. All weapons powered down, engines went silent, and even the running lights turned off. The ship began drifting among the debris from the earlier battle, looking like just another piece of wreckage. On the alien flagship, Kolzeth watched his sensors carefully. The human ship had simply vanished from his screens. Either it had been destroyed by the earlier fighting, or it was hiding somehow. "Send search parties," Kolzeth ordered. "I want every piece of debris examined. Find that human ship." Small alien craft began moving through the wreckage field, scanning each piece of metal with powerful sensors. They were looking for any sign of life or active technology. Inside the Liberty, the crew sat in complete darkness and silence. They could hear their own heartbeats in the quiet bridge. One wrong move, one electronic signal, and they would be discovered and destroyed. Lisa monitored alien communications through passive sensors that gave off no detectable signals. She whispered so quietly that the others had to lean close to hear her. 3 search ships heading our way. They will be here in 2 minutes. Morrison felt sweat on his forehead despite the cold air. The ship's life support was running at minimum power, making the bridge feel like a freezer. But they had to remain hidden until the right moment. Amy watched her tactical display, which was barely glowing to avoid detection. "Sir, if we wait much longer, more search ships will surround us. We need to move soon." Morrison studied the positions of the enemy vessels. The alien search ships were spread out, each one alone and vulnerable. But the main fleet was still too far away to help quickly. "Ben, Do you have a target lock on the nearest search ship? Morrison whispered. Phillips worked his controls in the darkness. Yes, sir. Range is less than 1 kilometer. Morrison waited until the alien search ship was almost close enough to touch the Liberty's hull. The enemy crew was scanning the debris around them, never suspecting that one piece of wreckage was actually a fully armed human battleship. Now, Morrison said that the Liberty erupted to life like a sleeping dragon. Every system came online at once. Weapons powered up and engines fired. The alien search ship was so close that it could not react in time. Ben's weapons fired at point-blank range, tearing the enemy vessel apart before it could send a warning. The small alien ship exploded in a ball of fire and metal, but Morrison was not done. The moment the first search ship died, he gave new orders. Roy, emergency jump. Put us next to the second search ship. The Liberty vanished and reappeared beside another enemy vessel. This ship tried to run, but it was too late. Ben's gun spoke again, and another alien search craft became floating wreckage. The third search ship managed to send a partial warning before the Liberty jumped to its position and destroyed it as well. But the damage was done. The main alien fleet now knew that the human ship was still alive and hunting. Kolzeth received the broken transmission and roared with anger. Impossible! How did they hide from our sensors? His tactical officer studied the readings from the destroyed search ships. Sir, they shut down all their systems and drifted like debris. Our sensors could not tell the difference between their ship and actual wreckage. Kolzeth felt something he had never experienced before: respect for an enemy. These humans fought like nothing he had ever encountered. They used deception and patience as weapons, striking from hiding like predators. All ships converge on the human vessel, Kolzeth ordered. Surround them so they cannot escape. But Morrison had no intention of running. The Liberty began jumping from position to position around the alien fleet, appearing and disappearing like a ghost. Each time it materialized, human weapons reached out to strike critical systems on enemy ships. The psychological effect on the Kethver fleet was devastating. Their opponents were not just fighting them, they were hunting them. The humans moved through space like sharks through water, striking without warning and vanishing before return fire could find them. Ships that had conquered 17 star systems now found themselves afraid of shadows. Every piece of debris might hide an enemy. Every moment of silence might be the calm before another attack. Kolzeth realized that his empire had made a terrible mistake. They had not attacked weak prey. They had awakened sleeping monsters. And now those monsters were hunting them. Supreme Admiral Kolzeth had seen enough. His reinforcement fleet was being torn apart by a single human ship that fought like nothing in Kethver history. 3 more of his vessels had been crippled by the Liberty's hit-and-run attacks, and his crews were starting to panic. Enough games, Colis growled from his command chair. All ships fall back to maximum range. I will handle this myself. The alien flagship was a monster of metal and energy weapons. Its main cannon could destroy planets, and its armor was thick enough to stop the weapons of entire fleets. Kolzeth had used this ship to force the surrender of 6 different star systems without firing a shot. On the Liberty's bridge, Amy watched the massive enemy ship separate itself from the rest of the alien fleet. Her tactical display showed energy readings that made her stomach twist with fear. "Captain," Amy said, with worry in her voice, "that ship has enough firepower to vaporize us with 1 shot. Our shields would not even slow down their main weapon." Morrison studied the enemy flagship on his screen. It was beautiful in a terrible way, like a work of art designed for destruction. But he had learned not to be impressed by size alone. "What about their blind spots?" Morrison asked. "Every ship has them." Amy ran her sensors over the alien vessel, looking for weaknesses. After several minutes, she found something interesting. "Sir, Their main weapon creates a massive energy field around the ship when it charges. But that same field blocks their sensors in certain directions. They have a blind spot directly underneath their hull. Morrison felt hope stir in his chest. How big is that blind spot? Big enough for us, if we can get close enough, Amy replied. Roy Sullivan looked up from his engineering station with concern. Captain, getting that close to their main weapon would be suicide. The energy radiation alone could kill us. Morrison knew the risks, but he also knew they had no choice. If they ran, the aliens would follow them to Earth. If they stayed at long range, the enemy's superior firepower would eventually destroy them. Ben, can you target their main reactor from close range? Morrison asked. Phillips checked his weapons display. Yes, sir, but I would need to get inside their shields to do any real damage. Morrison made his decision. Roy, I need you to do something that has never been done before. I want you to use our jump drive to put us inside their shield perimeter. Roy's eyes went wide. Sir, that is incredibly dangerous. If we materialize inside solid matter, we would be destroyed instantly. But if we appear in an empty space inside their shields, Morrison asked. Roy thought about it for a moment. It might work, but the timing would have to be perfect. One mistake and we would be dead. Morrison looked around at his crew. These people had followed him through impossible odds and never let him down. Now he was asking them to risk everything on one desperate gamble. Lisa, can you monitor their shield patterns? Morrison asked. Grant nodded, her fingers already working over her controls. Yes, sir. I can track the energy fluctuations and find the best insertion point. Morrison took a deep breath. All right, people, this is it. We are going to jump inside their shields and hit them where they are most vulnerable. The Liberty began, moving toward the alien flagship. Kolzith watched the small human ship approach and smiled coldly. Finally, these upstart creatures were going to face him directly. Charge the main weapon, Kolzith ordered. We will vaporize them the moment they come into range. The massive cannon began building energy, creating a field of crackling power around the alien ship. The weapon was designed to crack planets, and one small human vessel would not even slow it down. On the Liberty, warning alarms screamed as they detected the enormous energy buildup. The alien weapon was preparing to fire, and when it did, nothing would survive the blast. Now or never, Morrison said quietly. Roy, take us in. The Liberty vanished from normal space and reappeared directly beneath the alien flagship's hull. They were so close that they could see individual armor, plates and weapon ports on the enemy ship's belly. Kolzith felt his ship shudder as the humans materialized inside his shields. Alarms began screaming throughout the flagship as his sensors detected the enemy vessel practically touching his hull. Impossible, Kolzith roared. How did they get inside our defenses? His weapons officer tried desperately to target the human ship, but it was too close. The flagship's guns could not angle low enough to hit a target directly underneath the hull. Ben, Phillips smiled grimly as he locked his weapons onto the alien ship's main reactor. At this range, he could not miss. His rail guns and particle beams fired in perfect coordination, punching through armor and striking the enemy's power core. The alien flagship shuddered as explosions tore through its engine room. Emergency lights flickered on as main power failed throughout the ship. The massive main weapon, halfway through its charging cycle, began to overload without proper power regulation. Reactor breach, screamed Kolzeth's engineering officer. Main weapon is overloading. We have 30 seconds before core explosion. Kolzeth felt his ship dying around him. In all his years of conquest, he had never imagined that defeat could come so quickly or so completely. The humans had done the impossible, turning his greatest strength into his greatest weakness. Abandon ship, Kolzeth ordered. All hands to escape pods. The alien flagship began tearing itself apart as its damaged reactor went critical. Explosions bloomed along its hull like deadly flowers. The Liberty jumped to safety just as the massive ship erupted in a ball of fire that lit up the entire star system. When the explosion faded, Colas found himself floating in an escape pod among the wreckage of his once mighty fleet. Half his ships were destroyed or crippled, and the rest were fleeing in panic. To his surprise, the human ship appeared beside his pod. Instead of destroying him, they used a tractor beam to pull him aboard their vessel. Kolzith expected torture or execution when he was brought to the Liberty's bridge. Instead, he found himself treated with dignity and respect. Captain Morrison offered him a chair and something to drink. "Why?" Kolzeth asked through the translation device. "Why show mercy to your enemy?" Morrison studied the alien commander for a moment before answering. "Because that is who we are. We fight to protect what we love, not to destroy what we hate." Kolzeth felt something shift in his understanding. His species conquered others to prove their strength and gather resources. But these humans fought from a completely different motivation. "You could have destroyed my escape pod," Kolzeth said quietly. "I would have done that to you." Morrison nodded. "I know. That is the difference between us. We fight because we have to, not because we want to." For the first time in his life, Kolzeth began to understand what real strength looked like. It was not about having the biggest weapons or the most ships. It was about fighting for something greater than yourself. "My fleet will retreat," Kolzeth said finally. "We will tell the Empire that humans are not to be underestimated." Morrison smiled. "That would be wise. We do not want war, but we will defend ourselves if we must." As the surviving alien ships fled toward their home system, they carried with them a new understanding. The galaxy had a new power to respect, and that power was not measured in the size of its weapons, but in the strength of its will. The Liberty turned toward home, its mission complete. Captain Morrison and his crew had shown the universe that sometimes the smallest ship could carry the biggest surprise. And in the depths of space, other alien civilizations began receiving reports of the battle. The message was simple but profound. Earth's children had grown up, and they were not to be taken lightly. The age of human expansion into the galaxy had begun, and it would be built on respect earned through courage and wisdom.